Hey everyone, so before I get into this video I want to do a quick update. So over the last few months I've been making videos on Jump Force rumours, news, predictions and gameplay, but we're fast approaching the release of the game, so what will happen to this channel once it's out? Well, first off I want to thank all my new subscribers for supporting the channel, and my long time subs, if you're still watching, thank you too. But once Jump Force releases, I'm going to be posting gameplay content as well as keeping you up to date with any content updates the game will be getting, such as buffs or nerfs to characters, as well as DLC news and rumours. I will continue with this with Smash Bros as well. But anyway, with that out of the way, we're a couple weeks away from Jump Festa, and from there we'll have a little over a month until release. So I want to go over my final base roster predictions that I personally think will get into the game. So disregarding all characters we have been shown so far, including the Toriyama ones, whether they are or aren't all playable. So I am going to be talking about fighters we have yet to hear about. My thinking is we will get a roster size of 50 as the final base roster. 50th anniversary, 50 fighters. J-Stars was a 45 year celebration of Jump, Weekly Shonen Jump, and had 39 fighters, but they did have a ton of supports as well. If all Toriyama characters will be playable, we're sitting at around 32 plus creator character right now, but I can see one or two of them not being playable, such as the Navigator, so for the sake of argument I'm just going to round this down to 30 confirmed playable fighters so far. So starting off, each series will bring a stage or two from their universe, which I think is a given at this point anyway, and I think we're going to be getting at least 3 but more likely 4 JOJO reps. Now I said in my previous video I'm not too familiar with the series, but I am aware of its popularity and presence amongst the anime community, and I have seen how much of a high demand these characters are for the game. In addition, we did have a few in J-Stars, so I believe we'll be getting 3 or 4 JOJO reps for the base roster. Next up I'm calling 2 HITMAN Reborn fighters, one being TSUNA unsurprisingly, but I think the second fighter may be a villain, whether they go for a more popular villain such as BYRKURAN or Xanxus, just because they were quite major villains in the anime before its cancellation, or I'd prefer to see a villain from the manga, or personally ENMA. Either way, I'm hoping TSUNA gets a full rework with Vongola gear, etc. Then I think we'll be getting SAKURA from Naruto, and then NADARA and KAGUTA, bringing Naruto's representation to 5 fighters to match that of One Piece and Dragon Ball Z, as those are the 3 series on the box art, those are the biggest 3, so I think that's what we'll see with Naruto as well. Up next I'm going to go with MEDAKA from MEDAKA Box. She was in J-Stars, and I think that's what we'll see here again. Jintoki from Gintama, again I reckon that's what we'll get from the Gintama series. Toriko and Zebra from Toriko. I don't think we'll see all fighters from J-Stars return, and I hope they don't. I could be wrong, but with them working on creator character, I feel like they may have had to cut some of the previous fighters from returning, and we do want to see new characters as well. We don't want all these new characters to be relegated to DLC, because that's a bit shit really. And remember, just because it's a sequel doesn't mean all characters from previous entries will return. That doesn't always happen. So now, who else do I think will be in the base roster? Well, if we're including all characters announced so far, with the addition of the ones that I've just mentioned, we're sitting at around 43 playable characters plus creator character. So let's say 44. The final 6 fighters I think will be Asakura Yo from Shaman King, Meruem from Hunter x Hunter, or maybe even Kaiba from Yu-Gi-Oh!, Hiei from Yu Yu Hakusho, Arale from Dr. Slump. Now, as for the last 2, I want to say Deku and Bakugo, but I could also see them being DLC. But I'm going to say these 2 as base roster, and somebody like Todoroki would be DLC. I mean, ideally I'd prefer to have less reoccurring characters in this series and more newer ones. For example, I would like to see both Meruem, Kaiba, Deku, Bakugo, some other out there ones, heck even Soma I would like to see in the game, just because they managed to make a playstyle from Yugi. I was thinking DeGreyman like Alan Walker, but DeGreyman's been with Jump Square since 2009, so I'm not sure if that's even viable anymore. Whether he could be considered for the game, I'm not too sure. But we have tons of other series that I'd rather see in this game, more so than recurring fighters from the previous game. Now I could be wrong, we might not get 50, we may get more than that, but I do hope that the majority of the roster is newer fighters. It would feel kind of cheap to get the majority of the roster being those that we could have played in J-Stars anyway. There's a fair few fighters that weren't in J-Stars that I've missed off, but again, like I said, if they were to include all of them, that probably limits the amount of newer fighters we could have got. Plus with the inclusion of creator character as well, you have to think, makes you wonder where they had to prioritise their work there, I guess. But when the game has the final roster confirmed, I'll be doing my 9 DLC fighter predictions, and I'll make sure to update to let you guys know what the final base roster is, how many characters do you think we'll get when the game ships, and what other series that haven't been represented would you guys like to see, and if your series have all been represented, would you like to see more characters from that series? Let me know in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, see you guys next time.